Well, highly traditional organizations prize certain orthodoxies more than others. There are certain things that are viewed as essentially unassailable truths. And when it comes to the military, when it comes to the New York Yankees, when it comes to IBM, or fill in the blank, any tradition-rich organization or institution, the principle of leadership that you'll typically hear is leadership by example. That's a default position when somebody identifies how they intend to take on leadership in an organization. Well, I will lead by example. If you turn on the TV at Penn State University and the football captains have been selected for the following year, and the first question that they're asked when the microphone is placed in their face is, what do you plan to do? What kind of captain do you plan to be? They're usually going to say, well, I plan to lead by example. Right? Certainly in the world of the military, you hear that virtually every day. In fact, it's carved in stone in many places, not just using the English leadership by example, but ductus exemplo, the Latin form of that phrase. It can be found carved in stone in many, many places. So it is as close to a truly unassailable truth as anything else. The problem that I see in this, and this has to do with sustaining the issue of change and innovation in tradition-rich organizations, is that this truth in itself can become a bumper sticker. It can become essentially meaningless in the context of day-to-day conversation. So in the sense of that team captain of a football team at Penn State saying, I'm going to lead by example, well, that means what? That you're going to play harder? That you're going to be a better player? Well, that's not really leadership. That's just being the best player. We don't select team captains because they're simply the best player. We select team captains because they're going to make really tough decisions. They're going to make hard choices and exercise a form of leadership over their teammates, peer leadership, that moves the team in the right direction, in the direction that both the coach and the institution can be proud of. Right? Leadership by example, though, again, it's simple to say, it is extremely, extremely difficult to carry out in practice. What I mean by that is it requires a great degree of self-sacrifice. You have to suppress self-interest to lead by example. Leadership by example, when you peel everything else away, is putting the interests of others over yourself. And that is an unnatural act. Just as it's an unnatural act to hesitate on the battlefield, to take the risk off of yourself and your mates and place it somewhere else, the same thing applies to leaders, decision makers in every organization. If they're going to lead by example, if they're going to be selfless as leaders, then it's going to cause them to take on risk in that organization. It could be personal risk, it could be professional risk, but they are taking unto themselves risk to benefit the organization itself or certainly individuals within that organization. And that's really hard. So the thing I try to encourage in my students is to examine a little bit more carefully what leadership by example actually means, right? So leadership by example is the box in this case, right? That's the box in which everybody in tradition-rich organization lives most of the time. That it's an unassailable truth, right? Very few are willing to dig a little deeper into that unassailable truth and find out what that means in practice, because that's really hard. Because if you do that, you're setting yourself up for risk. In this case, you are suppressing your own interest. You are spending time in such ways. You're taking on risk in such ways that other people benefit from your actions. You don't necessarily benefit from your actions. Others, certainly the organization, does benefit from what you do. That's really hard work. That's tough work. And getting people to understand that, getting prospective leaders, those who are moving into positions of leadership, to kind of embrace the meaning behind leadership by example, I think is job one. It's the number one task in any leader development program. The creativity piece comes in actually getting them to do it.